We are Steve, Debbie, Ellie Rose and our fur babies Alfie and Dottie. In 2022 we made the move from the UK to central Portugal where we had bought an abandoned stone farm. Follow us on our journey as we renovate the buildings, the cottages and the land. Ola Bom Dia and welcome to this week's video.
This week I do some work in our bathroom, doing some little bits and bobs, and I also tile the hearth in the kitchen, which I've been promising for a while.
So I hope you enjoy this week's video.
Morning! So what we're going to do today is try and insulate this wall and then plasterboard it. I brought some like rock wool type roll. I'm going to put a piece between each panel, more for noise than heat insulation really, because it does sound quite bouncy and echoey, so it'll just help kill some of that. Yeah, so before I've done that, I've just put a socket box down at the bottom of the wall in the corner where I think the radiator's going to go. I'll just show you that. So I've just put this socket box here ready for either a blanking plate when it gets the heated radiator wiring into it, or as a plug socket. Most of them I've seen actually have a plug socket on them, so yeah, not allowed in England, but as it's a heated towel rail and it comes with a plug on it, I presume they're allowed in Portugal, but the Ellie will sort that, I'm sure. So that's the first row of insulation in the bit at the bottom. If you notice the one at the far side is the paper side out instead of in, that's because I couldn't get the paper to fold around the pipes as well, and the pipes are quite a way to the back. So I've put a bit of the material itself down the back of the pipes and then put the main of the material in from this side, paper side out. So as you can probably see, that's all the wall done now, apart from a little bit above the door. I'll show you in a second. I did think about putting a thin piece of rock wool over the outside of these pipes, just to give them some bit of sound deadening really, for when, you know, if there's any sort of vibration, knock or anything like that. Hopefully there won't be, because that means there's airlock somewhere. But yeah, I just thought it might insulate them a little bit better, so I've got plenty of it left. I just want to do these bits above the door, so I'll cut a big slice off for the door and then I'll put the little bits, I'll open them up and put them over that. So I've just covered the white pipes at the end as well. Just push some round it in a, you know, just tucked it in either side of it just so it covers them. Stop it vibrating against plasterboard when I get that sorted. Yeah, so that's the insulation in there. We'll get some plasterboard. So I've got a piece of plasterboard in this room. I've cut it to height of the room, but I've had great difficulty getting in, so I didn't film any. And because I've got to manoeuvre it round the light and the pipes at the bottom, you aren't going to see anything while I'm struggling with this, so I'll show you it when I get it on. So I've got the plasterboard in, I've got the holes for the taps, a cutout for the pipes at the bottom, which is going to be behind the bath anyway, so you aren't going to see, and a cutout for the wire what's going to the mirror. I've also got the wire through for the radiator. I'll show you that. So along the bottom at the far end we've got where the pipe's coming through. I've just cut a square out. Where the cable comes through I've cut a notch out, and here I've just made a hole, although there is a backing plate behind there, which I'll have to cut out so I can get a socket in later, but I just want to leave it as that at the moment just in case it's just having a flat cover on it. But I've just realised that I have made a mistake. I've got the board in and now obviously I can't see battens, and because they're not spaced at regular intervals, because it was just a build as you go, I'm going to have to mark where they are. Some of them aren't too bad, but the horizontal ones, because some are stepped down further than others, just make it a little bit awkward, but yeah, we'll get there. So that's the main board up, apart from a couple of little panels down the side. As I know, that's tapered, so it makes it a little bit awkward, but we'll get that sorted in a minute. And a little bit over the door. So we'll go and see if we've got some offcuts of plasterboard before we start putting into a big one. So I have just realised it's time for Ellie Rose to start work, so I ain't going to get that end fitted today, so we'll do that tomorrow. So, just got up this morning and got our first frost of the winter. Haven't seen one of them for a long while. It's further down the land, it's not too bad up at the top. Although the sun's up now, so it's starting to melt.
Girls are waiting for their breakfast. They've still got nice red combs, and we're still getting 3 eggs most days. That's our orange tree, which seems to be coming along quite nicely. We thought we'd lost it last year. It probably could do with some these dead bits taking off. We'll do those in our autumn prune. And the lemon tree we also thought we'd lost. That's doing quite well. Again, it wants the dead bits taking off. Oops, it's spiky. So that it can concentrate on the new growth. And shortly I'll be covering these for winter because they don't like the frosts. Are you waiting patiently, Alfie, by the gate? You waiting for Mummy? I'm here now.
So this morning I'm back in our bathroom rather than Ellie Rose's, and I'm just chipping out for where the shower taps are going. So I'm just trying to put a piece out here because this needs moving down to this height for the mountings for the taps, and I'm just chiseling this piece out at the other side. It's fairly easy to do to this depth, but I do have to go a bit deeper just to get these ends in. They want to be more or less to that lip there. So, and then that'll allow for tiles and the other adapter. So that's what I'm having a go at this morning. And as you can see, I've got the Lasgo laser level set up just to keep my lines square and straight. Hopefully that'll get me a level tap. It's just set up on my tripod for the camera. So that's shortened these pipes and got them roughly into position. There's still movement in them because I haven't fastened them to the wall yet. I'm just thinking screws in there aren't going to hold very well in that wall, so I might have to put a little bit of render at the back so I've got something to screw into. They only need holding in place while I get all this lot rendered back up. So yeah, maybe a screw through just straight into it might just hold them. And also, while we've been making a mess, there's been this ridge on this step on the threshold, and it was higher than the tiles at the other side, so it was causing a bit of a trip hazard, so I'll just knock that out while we're on. That step is going to be tiled anyway, so I've got plenty there to just raise it up a little bit and tile it. And this frame's getting replaced as well, so I can cut it out of the ground easier now. So, keep getting leaks down the chimney, so I thought I'd come up and see what the hell's going on, because nobody seems to be able to cure it. What I want to do is take this storm guard off here. Why they've put cement on here, because it's just ramping it up onto where I don't want, both sides. So I'm going to take this off, this cover, this clamp off, if I can get them off because of all the silicone around them, and then I'm going to seal where I think it wants sealing, but I'll have a look first before I do that. Sealed round the back of this cowl. It's still a mess because it's really at the wrong angle and the end of it's somewhere down here. What I'm going to try and do is mix some cement, leave this as an outward channel for the water, any water what runs down here. Fill this in, level it down and build this up so it's got a way out there and down there, hopefully. So that's round this side. Fill this in, level with this, and hopefully it'll have a run out there. I know it should run out onto that lead sheet, and that lead sheet should run away, but there is a dim deep in that sheet, so it's still trapping water there. But the main bit is around this side where it was dripping in. I could actually see it from the inside of the house. There was daylight through it. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to put the storm collar back on, and hopefully that'll cure the problem. But who knows? So right or wrong, what I've done is I've blended this in to this cement round here, left a little gap round there so water flows into that channel. I'm sorry I've put the storm collar on without filming it. I've built this up so that we've got a drop from here into this gully, from there into that gully, and hopefully same at the other side into that gully there, and that should take all the water away if the seal what I've put on sealant what I'll put on works. Now my main thing's to get off the roof because I'm really not happy being on a roof. I would like to have washed this down or brushed it down, but I ain't got a brush or anything up here, and I'm not coming up here just to do that. Next time it rains, it'll take a lot down to the gutters and I'll clean them from there. But yeah, it's a little bit messy up here, but hopefully that'll do that. I'm not going to go out and do Ellie roses because, as I just said, you know, I'm very nervous on a roof. Hers don't seem to be leaking at the moment. Yeah, if I get a bit more confident one day I'll go over and do it. So after all this time I've decided I'm going to get on tile this hearth in the kitchen. One of the things we've been waiting for is we hadn't decided what we were going to do up the back, but now we've decided we're going to put like some schist stone up the back, stick it onto it. I think that'll look quite nice. So we've decided we can leave a gap at the back just to make it a little bit easier rather than cutting little bits out here and there. Because the stone's going to be quite thick anyway when it gets on there. It's similar sort of stone tiles to what we used outside on the patio. So yeah, they're quite thick, so we can leave quite a gap at the back. So at the moment I'm just doing a quick layout of what we need. I'm leaving about a 10mm overhang at the front here, because when I put the tiles coming upwards with a little bit of adhesive, we should be somewhere near the edge, so they should be all end up more or less level. I've got these bits at the side here to cut out either side, and then I'm going to stick it all down. So yeah, I'll show you some of that as we're doing it. I've got two types of tile cutter. I've got a long one because Ellie Rose's tiles are longer than these ones, so they come in handy for doing them. And then I have an old one which I brought over from England, which is an electric wet tile. It's nice for doing real thin bits, just trimming edges and, you know, rounding corners off on some tiles. With these tiles being solid all the way through, I can put it at an angle and just chamfer an edge on so it's a smooth edge. So that's all my tiles cut and ready to go into place and get stuck down. Just temporarily put them in just to make sure everything goes where I want it to. The gap at the back, as I say, I'm going to put some stone tiles down and they should fill that gap. I could have cut some tiles a bit wonky into that corner, but as we're putting tiles down to it, it ain't going to show at all, so it's easier that way. But yeah, I've done all the little cuts, bits, so we'll get some adhesive mixed and get them stuck on. So I've never used these levelling type pegs before, but from what I've seen, you just tap them with a rubber hammer and knock them out when you've finished, so we'll just see how that goes. So it seems to break most of it out. Some of them leave a little piece in, but on the whole they come out quite well. And that just leaves the foot underneath the tile, which you can't see. The only thing that I have seen as a little bit of an issue with them is where you've put them. If you've squeezed any grout out, any adhesive out, because of the position of these, you can't get in to scrape it out, so that leaves it a little bit awkward for when it's dried to try and get that bit out, which I would have normally done with the cross pieces. I'd have wiped it straight away. On the whole, yeah, I think they're pretty good. So they seem to have left the tiles nice and level, which is the general idea. So I'll just clean these out and then we'll get it grouted. So that's the tiles cleaned up and all ready for grouting, so I'm just going to go and mix some grout and we'll get them grouted up. So as I say, that's all cleaned up, so I'm just starting to grout. I'm not using a rubber scraper. I've got a nice soft plastic one which just does smaller gaps, and seems I'm not doing a lot of tiling, a lot of grouting. I'm just pushing it in with this. So it's quite easy, rather than making quite a mess with a bigger rubber scraper. As you can see, I'm pushing quite a lot in first and then just going diagonally over it just to make sure I've got it pushed about. I've got a little too much there really, so I'll go along the next line. Obviously the more messy you make, the more you've got to clean up after, so I can get a lot of it off where I want it. Some of this looks a bit soft, it's because the tiles are still damp. I find it wipes off easier if you have the tiles damp before you start. You get thicky stuff just like that. Obviously being careful I don't go into me grout lines. As I say, that bit was a bit thick, so be glad to get that off. So that's us all grouted up. Got to wait for a bit for it to dry and then I'll buff it up a little bit and take some of the excess off as well. I've put what I had left out of the tin into the gap at the back. It didn't really need it, but yeah, I just wanted rid of it somewhere and I thought build that up a little bit. I'll just keep any moisture from running down the wall and going under the tiles, so I'll put that there for now. As I say, it's going to be tiled up the back anyway, so you'll never see any of that. So that's the earth all washed off and grouted in. I've got to wait until it's fully dry before I can buff it up fully. It'll keep coming back with a few of these marks on it. But that's all for this week, so thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and don't forget the links to Instagram and Facebook below. Bye!